What's up friends, Chook here, and welcome to my Monster Hunter World weapon guide. This guide is aimed at players new to the series, and anyone that may not know or understand how the weapons work, and is looking for a little help. On the surface, the combat of Monster Hunter series may look fairly basic, but there's a lot more to it than people realise. Hopefully I can help you understand the mechanics a little bit better, and now that's all said and done, let's begin. The longsword. So this is the weapon I taught myself how to play Monster Hunter with back in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, which was on the Nintendo 3DS, and it was also on the Wii U as well, for anyone that owned a Wii U. Anyway, this is a pretty cool weapon. A lot of newcomers like this weapon for multiple reasons. It does good damage, it has good reach, it's quite safe as well, and in a solo experience, it's really good. When you're playing multiplayer with some of your friends or just randoms or whatever, it can end up tripping your friends. So with these attacks and stuff, which we'll go through, some attacks can, like that attack there, can launch your friend into the sky, or you can trip your friend by hitting him like that and they knock over. It's a lot easier to hit enemies, hit your friends with this weapon because it's so big, it's so long. But if you practice enough and you know, get good and all that rubbish, you should be fine. So to start with, let's have a look at the Hunter notes. So we've got standard attack, thrust, attack while moving, spirit blade, foresight slash, and spirit thrust. Sorry. So this weapon works on a spirit gauge, kind of similar to the dual blades that we've gone through already, but it's got its own thing. So let's just read it and we'll go from there. Spirit gauge. Hit monsters to fill the spirit gauge, which can be expended to perform spirit blade attacks. Landing spirit round slashes will also charge the gauge's color, increasing attack power. Foresight slash. Foresight slash can be performed mid-combo and provides a long invulnerability window. Landed after dodging an enemy attack to fill the spirit gauge, then press R2 to chain it into a spirit round slash. Spirit thrust. A powerful blow used at the cost of one of the spirit gauge color levels. If it connects, the gauge begins to fill automatically, an effect most pronounced when the gauge is red. Okay, here's some useful combos which we are going to go over. As you can see, it's fairly simplistic. It's just a lot of triangle and R2s. No D2s though. So let's start. Your basic combo is just triangle, 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 triangle. So if we do that, we get a step slash, overhead slash, a stab, and then a rising slash. Now, if you want to get to that rising slash sooner, so if there's like a monster up a ledge or something, you can just do a circle, which will do a thrust, and that's it. Like, if you keep tapping circle, that's all that happens. But if you do a thrust and then a circle and then a triangle, you will do that upward slash a lot quicker. So if you're wanting to get to that slash particularly quickly, that's a much quicker way of doing it than doing this over and over again. Now that we've got that out of the way, as we see when we attack something, that we've got our health and stamina and weapon durability at the top left as normal, and we also have our gauge. Now it's at the moment it's half filled. If we keep attacking, we will get it filled. And once it's filled, you can use your spirit strikes. Spirit blade. You can use that whenever you want, but you want to use it when you've got a full gauge. Before we go into that, sorry, you also have Fade Slash, which is a defensive move. Like I was saying before, it's quite safe, this weapon as well, because you can roll out of most attacks, and you can also do a Fade Slash, which gives you room to breathe. Like, so if something's destroying you, you can just hit it and get away, which is awesome. So once you have your full gauge, you can do your Spirit Blade attacks. What this will do is, let's just do them. Okay, so as you can see, once that's finished, you automatically sheath your weapon as well. Make note of that, because that can screw you over a little bit if you don't remember. But that used all of our gauge. Now what you want to do is you want to hit the enemy. Obviously you want to hit the enemy, but you want to hit the monster. You can miss with every other attack as long as you hit with the last hit. So we'll hit with all of them, or maybe not. As long as we hit with that move, you can see that our gauge went it depleted, but it went up one color. So now we have a white border around our gauge. That means that we've gone up some damage. So I forgot to actually show the damage at the start, but we're at 277 right now. So if we do that again, and I'll try and show off missing every other attack, but hitting the last one. We still hit it, so we went up a level. And now we're at the yellow outline of the weapon gauge. So we were at 277 attack, we are now at 290. And if we go up one more time. We will get to red. And this is the final form, effectively. And we're at 317. So it's quite a big jump. I think we probably started somewhere around the 255, 260 range. We'll check later on. But it's a big increase to your damage. Now, while you're in these gauges, they will slowly start to deplete, as you can see. To keep them active, you just need to land the last hit of this combo, and that will just refill the gauge again. Now, other things that you can do. You can see there that there's, on the left-hand side, there says Spirit Thrust. That is a new move. Oops. Sorry. That is a new move to Monster Hunter World. Let's go in and see what that does. Now, it's similar-ish to the Sword and Shield move, where you do the backstep and you land on the enemy and you, like, shoot yourself up into the air and you can do an aerial attack. It's similar to that. But what this does is if you land it, it does a tremendous amount of damage. It gives you aerial damage, mounting damage, all the rest of it. But it will take your gauge down one level. So let's have a look at what it does. Oops. So that's what it does. Don't mind the damage numbers too much because I'm at a lower weapon sharpness, durability. So if I was in yellow, it would have done a lot more damage. But effectively, that's what it is. So if the monster is in a trap, or it's stunned, or it's just weakened, or you can get that attack off, it's a really good, strong attack that does a lot of damage. But if you miss, then you miss, and you waste the gauge level and all the rest of it. Now, there is also the Foresight Slash. So we can see after any attack, we can do a Foresight Slash, which is circle and R2, which is this. So in the Hunter notes, that used our whole gauge, right? It didn't take us down a gauge level like the thrust did, but it used the whole gauge bar. Let's do that one more time. See, this is the whole bar. But if we go back to the Hunter notes, we can see that the Foresight Slash can be performed mid-combo and provides a long invulnerability window. Landed after dodging an attack to fill the spirit gauge. Then press R2 to chain it into a spirit round slash. So you can fill your spirit gauge by doing that attack effectively. But it does use your whole gauge if you don't do it properly. I haven't been able to test this on actual enemies yet because I'm basically doing weapon tutorials before I do anything else with the game. But if that can fill your whole gauge, then that's pretty sweet. It's said to do it after avoiding an attack, so maybe it just doesn't work in the training grounds. But that's something you can try out for yourself. I'm not too sure about that one. Everything else we've gone through and gone over. So let's quickly go back to our item box. Let's change our weapon quickly to something else and then put the longsword back on. And how much damage are we at? 264. So we went from 264 in just normal without anything to 317, I believe it was, in red gauge mode. So it's quite an increase in damage. And as I said, this is an attractive weapon to a lot of people, but it's quite easy to understand and get used to for newcomers. So if you're struggling a little bit, this has really good range. It's quite simple to use as the combos are basically just triangles, and you know you can throw the thrust in there if you want to get the rising slash. But then once you fill your gauge, you do your spirit moves and get up a gauge level and rinse and repeat. And then you can use the gauge thrust, spirit thrust, to do the big damages when you are able to. Either way, hopefully you learned something. If you did, let me know in the comments. I'm always here to help any newcomers or anything that are struggling with coming to terms with how this game works and the combat and everything. Monster Hunter series is, in general, quite hard to get into. This game is doing a hell of a lot better of teaching people with tutorial stuff like this, basic combos and all the rest of it, but it can be a bit of a nightmare to learn. When I self-taught myself, it took me about 10-15 hours of watching YouTube and reading forums and stuff to fully understand how all the game worked. So let me know if you learned something. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.